Hey, it's Jordan from the Bone Shed. I got Mark here with his Hoyt Katera. He brought it into us this morning asking, do I need new strings and cables? This is a question we get oftentimes, and usually what I do anytime someone asks me that is I follow it up with an inspection of the strings and cables. First thing I usually look at is if there's any string wear on the string and cable. This may look like different things, including fraying or fuzz right on your string. Different areas you want to look is your actual cables and your string that does not have any serving on it. Other things I'd look for is there any string discoloration? So if your string started off with black and green and now it's almost a brown and a light green, that's definitely a good sign that you might need to replace your strings. I also look if there's any serving separation. Usually you find your serving in the area of your D-loop, your cams, and your roller guard areas. This is the string that wraps around your string to protect it from any more wear and tear. Many times in the areas that bend and flex a lot, like I said, your cam area and your roller guards. Wax buildup is another thing I usually look for in a bow. On Mark's bow here, we do have a little bit of wax buildup. If it doesn't work in with a piece of leather at your fingertips by rubbing it in and heating it up to allow it to soak in, this may be another reason to replace your string. Usually if there's wax buildup and it doesn't work in with your fingers or a piece of leather, it means that there is some string wear and fray and fuzz and that wax just can't get soaked in anymore. So that usually is another good time or another good sign that you know you need to replace your strings. I'd also ask a series of questions. One of the first questions that I'd ask is, how old is the string? Mark, how old is the string on this Katera?
2 years old now.
Okay, 2 years old. Usually we recommend replacing a string anywhere from 3 to 4 years old, but this all varies depending from shooter to shooter. So if you shoot a lot, very often, you might want to change it sooner. If you don't shoot that much, you may be able to replace it a little bit later. How often do you shoot this bow, Mark?
3 times a week, 20 arrows per time.
All right, that's not too bad. Just by inspecting the bow, like I said, there is some wax buildup. There is some string separation. It all really depends on how often you shoot. If you're that guy that goes out and shoots 50 to 100 arrows 3, 4, 5 times a week, you're definitely going to have a lot more wear and tear. But if you're the guy that goes out, sights in a couple times before season, shoots a couple deer throughout the deer season, then you may not need to replace it so much. Other things I look for are, do you wax it regularly? Obviously by looking at Mark's bow, he does wax it regularly. Usually want to wax your bow about every other week, really depending on how much you shoot. Other times you want to make sure you wax it is if it's been in the rain or the heat. By waxing it and keeping it waxed, you'll make sure that you extend the life of your string just a little bit longer. The next thing I'd ask, is the season a few months out and you plan on putting a lot of arrows to it? Or is it early spring and you plan on going to a lot of 3D shoots this summer? What do you plan on doing with this summer and fall, Mark?
I have several 3D shoots I'm going to, and I have a lot of hunting trips I'll be going on.
Okay. Right now it's May, so usually I'd recommend this would be a good time for him to get a new string and cable set. Allow plenty of time for timing, tuning, and sighting in before he gets ready to roll for the 3D season. These may all be good times to look at replacing your strings and cable. We usually recommend replacing your strings and cable in the spring or early summer. This gives you plenty of time to tune your bow, maybe your rest, reset your bow in, and practice before deer season. This also gives you plenty of time for string stretch, which can happen with any new string and cable set you get. If you have any further questions or you're still unsure of if you need to replace your strings and cables, stop in the Bone Shed or your local pro shop and a bow tech can help you come to that conclusion. That's it for strings and cables today. Feel free to comment or send a private message if you'd like to see us cover anything or see any product review. Also subscribe to our YouTube page and like the Bone Shed on Facebook. And don't forget, you can find many of the products and clothing you've seen here today at the Bone Shed or www.michaelwaddell.com/store.